What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the 5th episode of the Soccer Performance Podcast. Last week we talked a little bit about what a normal week for a youth player would look like. Today we're going to zone in on the at-home stuff that you can do on your days off specifically. So Mario's going to jump in and lead you guys through what an at-home body weight workout would look like. I'll let you take it away.
Right, so if you watched last episode, we spoke about how there'd be roughly 2 strength sessions, gym-based sessions a week. One more focused on strength at the start of the week, one more focused on power. So this, we're doing bodyweight only, for those who don't have access to a gym or equipment. And then of course, there's some things you can modify if you do have some equipment or access to a gym. So day one, we'd go, this would be the Monday or Tuesday, whichever day you don't have team training.
Right.
So starting off, even though it's a strength session, you are an athlete, sports, I always still like to add a little bit of power.
Okay.
So this would look like, something more force-based power. So let's say we're absorbing, we're jumping from a still position. It's not as reactive like quick plyos.
Okay.
So this could be something like a broad jump. So 3 sets of 5. You take a broad jump from a standstill position, jump as far as you can, absorb the landing. We want a good landing, and we can superset that with a single leg hop and stick. So I've noticed a lot of players, they're just bad at stabilizing on one leg. It's something they don't practice, right? And then they'll try some advanced plyos, and they're not ready for it. So something as simple as one leg, hop, absorb, and safe landing, good movement, good technique. 5 each leg, so 3 sets of 5 each leg. You can superset those. Those alone will, I think a lot of players can improve.
Good. I want to ask you this really quick, just to kind of give a little bit more context. If I'm starting this workout, I'm at home. How much space do I need? Where can I do it? Should I be? What kind of?
Yeah,
things?
for sure.
I'm walking down to the basement, right? What's my setup like, so that I don't have to then be like, crap, I got to move here because I don't have space. So take me through that as if I was.
Yeah, ideally you have good space. If your basement has good space in your backyard, outside on the field, or just outside your house on the street or in the driveway,
right?
Wherever, as long as you have space, right? Especially if you're gonna jump and stuff. But of course, the strength work, you don't need, you just need a little bit of space. But if we're going to do plyos and power work, you want to make sure your area is safe and clear.
My point, guys, is you can get things done, and that's kind of where I'm leading the conversation. You can get things done in the space of your own bedroom, right? You can get things done in your living room. So it's a matter of just realizing that the consistency in doing that is where you'll see improvement, especially as a young athlete, that when you then start to go into, gyms, maybe your club now, or you're at the age where your team has a strength and conditioning component, now you have basic movement habits, right, that are then, like Mario said, when you're ready for that challenge, easily loaded. And I think that's what this workout is geared to give, right?
Mm-hmm. So after that power, after your 3 sets of 5 broad jump and single leg hop and stick, we can move on to some key strength exercises. So one upper body and one lower body, which we can superset. So a big one I think is a split squat. Harder than a body weight, normal squat. So we can load our front leg a little more. We can build strength and stability on single leg, making sure the technique is good. Our legs are at 90 degrees, our knees. Good vertical motion, 3 sets of 8 to 10.
What would the tempo be like for this exercise?
Yeah, so we want to go down under control to start. Couple seconds is fine, and then up. Now, those who really need to improve the technique, I always like to tempo it slower. 3-4 seconds on the way down and up. That's also a way to make it harder. So if 8 to 10 reps is easy, normal reps, then you could go 5 seconds down each rep, tempo it, make it harder. Another way to make it harder, pausing at the bottom. You go down, you pause, you could do up to a 3-second pause, 5-second pause, making it an isometric, and then coming up. So there's a lot of ways you can manipulate it. But I would, if you can get those beginner reps, 8 to 10, just down and up, under control, couple seconds down, explode up. with good form first, then we could start to play with that stuff.
Right, and in terms of tempo, the movement is still, again, if you go back to that power segment, right, with the broad jump and the single leg hop and stick, it's a more explosive action, right?
Yeah.
So now the tempo for the strength exercise is a
slower.
little bit more slow, right? More control, like Mario was saying. The goal is to maybe challenge yourself with speed, how slow you can move, and not worry about how fast you're getting up and down.
Yeah,
Right?
now it's about strength and development. We want to, your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes,
Right.
all important stuff, right? It keeps you strong. It could lead to, more power, more speed, right? Especially if you're weak, and it'll protect your knees. Keep your knees safe. A lot of young players I've noticed, and when I was coaching here a few years ago, so many players had knee pain from tendonitis, Osgood Schlatters, just because they're weak.
Yeah.
And they don't move well, and they don't load their body to strengthen and handle all the volume on the pitch, right? You got to be also strong enough to handle all that training we're talking about, and that's why the gym stuff is important.
Yeah, one thing I want to just give attention to is the fact that when you're doing body weight exercises and you're able to play with the time, you give a lot of quality work to the tendons, right? To injury prevention. Are you maybe growing muscle size? There's going to be a time where you need to load, right? There's going to be a time where the body weight won't get you more, but there's a great benefit from these exercises and challenging yourself, because obviously anybody can realize that a simple split squat body weight can, after a couple repetitions, maybe isn't that difficult. If you start to play around with the timing, then you're getting into spaces where you realize, holy crap, within this exercise, it's body weight, I can still challenge myself, right? You have that one paired up with push-ups, right? You have the split squats paired up with push-ups.
Pretty straightforward. It's always good to be good at, it's a good foundational strength exercise for the upper body. When done properly, your core is trained.
And it's a lower body push, right?
Yeah, with
paired
an upper
up with
body.
an upper body push.
Yeah, and once again, I see push-ups done terribly all the time.
Yeah.
So when we do the push-ups, we want to make sure our shoulders are in a nice, healthy position, kind of our arms at that 45-degree angle. I see so many elbows flaring, right? Get those elbows in, right? Bottom position, hands should be beside the chest. A lot of times people are sagging with their hips, right? Everything should be in alignment. Your body moves as one piece throughout the motion.
I used to tell.
I see a lot, like.
I used to see that the dip, or not used to, you still see it. But if you treat the push-up like a plank, right? Like if you were doing a plank, if you treat that push-up like a plank, you realize it's creating a hollow structure. Plus, again, the goal of this workout and of all these at-home workouts is complete, right? So can you have a combination of upper body, lower body strength, pulling, pushing, different movements. Why don't you talk about what you have paired up in the accessory lift?
Yeah, so that'll finish kind of the main strength. So we're hitting upper body, lower body pretty good there, and you can challenge yourself. By the way, push-ups, 8 to 10, once again.
Yeah.
If that's too hard, you can only get a couple reps. Start from the knee, but once again, shoulder position, trunk position, right? Once you get hit about 20 to 25 reps, start again from the feet. It'll feel much easier.
Right.
But moving on, So C1, C2, we're looking at a bodyweight squat. I put that at the end because it's quite easy, but it's still an important and fundamental movement pattern. So we can go higher repetitions on that, 12 to 15 reps for 3 sets. And for squats, having a good shoulder width, maybe a bit wider stance, depending on the person, right? Toes slightly out, let's say on a clock, 10 and 2 o'clock. That'll kind of open the angle, open the hips a little bit, get more groin involved.
Right.
I see squats as another one done terribly a lot, and a lot of it's partial range. Go deep range of motion. The deeper you go, you get more glute activation.
Let me ask you this. If you're doing a broad jump, right, A1, and you'll see, right, we're going to put the workout in a little picture so that you can follow along with us. But A1 was broad jumps. Then you have C1 bodyweight squats. It's pretty much the same movement. What's the difference, right? How can I make one movement, which is pretty much exactly the same, be completely different, right? in terms of body weight squats, what would my feet look like in a broad jump versus a body weight squat? You said a little bit more.
It's quite similar, right?
Yeah.
So, and when you jump, first of all, I don't want you thinking like when you leave the feet, your feet will roughly be in that squat position. But when you land and absorb, right, having that squat strength to hold your body weight,
right,
you know, absorb, and not just like hammer your joints is important, right? So similar movement patterns there, right? And just like, right, any single leg strength exercise is always good in relation to single leg plyo, right? So we'll see in the power session how I've kind of combined lateral lunge with a lateral bound.
Yeah, what I want players to understand is that there's certain movement patterns that are how they are, and the way that you train that pattern, at what speed you do the movement, with what focus, is really what gives that exercise context. So you can go do squats, and if you're trying to do them explosively, right, because your goal is to move quicker, but you're just worrying about how heavy you load, then the outcome isn't going to be that. So I think it's important to understand that there is too much attention on training maybe specific muscle groups and less attention on movement and qualities on the field. And I think that that's something that from a young age, even though you're doing a body weight exercise or a body weight workout, you can start to shift your attention. I can do a very slow, controlled push-up, right? Work on my strength, work on my ability to hold that position, or I can do a clap push-up and I'm trying to train out my ability to be more explosive.
Same exercise, we just manipulate it to create a different outcome.
Exactly.
Result. And to finish off, we have Nordics. So a lot of research behind Nordics. It's a really, tough exercise for the hamstring. So you would need a partner or someone to hold your legs down when you do these. And you want to go down slow as possible, at least 3 seconds on the way down before dropping, catching yourself and resetting. So that eccentric loading of the hamstrings has been proven to really reduce risk of hamstring injuries. So really important, I think, any sort of eccentric hamstring exercise weekly. And I like to do this at the start of the week because chances are your hamstrings will probably have some soreness from this. But very important movement, and that would finish off the workout.
What is there any way I could do this on my own if I don't have somebody there? I know, for example, I've come across actually great little gadgets on like Amazon that you can tie to your door. By the way, Nordics, I'm sure anybody who's watching this, or if you haven't, you're on your knees, you're letting your body weight fall, right? That's going to create a lot of tension on your hamstrings. You're controlling the speed at which you fall at, right? Usually you need somebody pinning you down. But if we're trying to make this as,
if you have someone
as alone as
home,
possible,
you can lock your legs in.
Exactly.
But at the same time, if you're by yourself, there's another hamstring exercise we'll do, a hamstring bridge with your heel elevated on a bench or the couch. Going up, contracting the hamstring. Anything to load the hamstring, we'll do. Cool. So now we'll go into session 2, more power focus. So this is later in the week, closer to your match on the weekend, or
so brief recap, right? Sunday, day off.
Yeah.
Monday was team training. We're assuming now Tuesday,
you're at home, you do some home training, you get your gym session in there.
Your strength session.
Wednesday's off, maybe some mobility, maybe some technical training on your own, or maybe you have team training that night.
So how far apart in the week would you space out your strength sessions?
48 hours, so at least one day in between.
Okay.
Yeah. And I like it on the Thursday because if they play Saturday, right, they have that Friday kind of off
buffer,
as well.
Okay.
So to build off that, our power focus. So now we're getting a little bit more intense, a little more in depth in the power. Last time was more horizontal based power at the, with a broad jump, single leg hop and stick. Now we're going vertical. So we can pair a vertical jump, 3 sets of 5.
Okay.
We can pair that with
So now it's
pogos.
more height rather than distance.
So now exactly. Power in the ground. Okay. So now holistically, if we look at the program, right, we have horizontal based exercise, vertical based power exercises.
Right.
So kind of we're training multiple different variations of power.
Right.
And I like to pair that with some, right? So the pogos develop that ankle stiffness, which is translated to speed, power, change of direction, because it allows us to shorten our ground contact. So that means if you spend less time on the ground when you're sprinting or changing direction, you're faster.
Okay.
So really important quality. So, and I like to pair those two.
You have another power pairing, right?
Yes. So now I'm kind of focusing more lateral. And it's a contrast. So we're doing a strength exercise and into a power exercise. So our strength exercise will be a lateral lunge. So we have a bit of that lateral strength focus, right? Really good, related to change of direction. Really important, training more abductors, glutes, groin. And I'm going to pair that with a lateral bound. So a lateral bound, we're, good movement, single leg jump laterally, stick the landing on the other leg.
What's the timing in that for the bounding? Are you holding the landing, or are you continuously
That's
going
actually a very good question. So to start, for the first 2 weeks, I would recommend everyone going down, pausing, getting comfortable with the position, and exploding from the pause.
Right.
That would be like level 1. Level 2 would be then, okay, I'm comfortable with that. Now it's a counter movement. So I'm just starting up, quick, elastic movement, stick the landing.
So what's a good way to know if you're ready to move on from level to level, right, in terms of difficulty?
Yeah, good question. So one, does it feel good? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel powerful exploding out? 2, video yourself. What does the technique look like?
Yeah.
Are you able to stabilize? Is the jump not good? Compare it to the videos, on YouTube or on our pages. They'll see these exercises. Compare
exactly
it.
Where I was
Does it not look good?
Yeah.
If it doesn't look good, it's not. So practice.
No, and obviously, guys, there's like anything, the more structure, the better, right? The more consistency, the quicker you're gonna probably see results to your work. Mario's got an awesome at-home program that I think, he put it out a little bit of time ago, but I think that could be a good starting
point. But it addresses a lot of these issues, yeah.
Yeah, you could probably link that to this.
So once again, filming yourself, right? If you're not with a trainer, is so important. Film yourself, watch it, compare it to the exercise you're trying to perform. How closely does that look? I feel like some people just go through the motions. Oh yeah, I did it. No, it's not about doing the exercise, it's how you do it.
Of course.
Right? And so how I coach it is going to be different to how someone else coaches it.
Yeah.
And also it's going to be very different to if you do it at your home. And same thing, if someone does something, it's going to look different because of the energy you put in, how you instruct it, how you cue it. That being said, so we have our vertical power series, or A1, A2, 3 sets of 5 for the vertical jump, 3 sets of 8 for the pogo jump, making sure the knees are straight, very stiff on the ankles. Our lateral power, lateral lunge, 3 sets of 6, okay, down and up, with lateral bound, 3 sets of 5 per leg, okay? So that's our 2 power supersets, and then I like to finish off with some strength. Once again, I'm finishing off with hamstrings. So in this one, we have a hamstring bridge. So that's with could be your foot elevated on a bench, knee at 90 degrees, digging through the heel, hip bridging up. Yep. Could be single leg, could be double leg. Single leg would be harder. And then you should feel a lot of hamstring working there.
And you
that
should
one we have 3 sets of 8 to 10.
Completely into a diagonal line, right?
Yeah, your body should
hips.
come up. Yeah, knee, hips, shoulders, everything in a line.
Okay.
You can also do it on the ground, right? So let's say a normal glute bridge, you just bring the heels out more, dig the heels in the ground, you get more hamstring.
Yeah. Awesome.
So there's your hamstring exercise there, and then I like to finish off with an isometric split squat. So we did dynamic split squats on the strength day. Now this day we're going isometric, so you're just holding the bottom position for 30 seconds. 30 seconds per leg. It's going to feel quite tough. You might find, it's tough to hold the position, your legs are shaking, but isometrics are very, very good for improving your tendon health and strength. Also, people with tendonitis, it's good to add in the warm-up where it can kind of decrease pain, give you some pain relief before training. But a lot of people with, as I mentioned before, they have knee issues, isometrics will help that as well. Strength training, but also isometrics are kind of specific towards that tendonitis stuff. And we want to build up to 60 seconds. So maybe you're doing 30-second holds for a couple weeks, then you can add, 40 seconds, 50 seconds, build to 60 seconds per leg.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a good way to give your week some strength work, right? There's no excuse for not being able to get this type of work in. We're gonna link the workout to the video. And next episode, I want to get into then what you can do at home to complement your at-home strength with your ball work, right? So I think that will be where we take the conversation with that episode. So with that, we'll close this.
Yeah. So give
guys
that a
on the
go.
next one.
Should take 30-minute sessions, easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Cool.
All right, guys.